Hello world. Who said that running an API server to serve LLM to various tools and plugins must be complicated? Who said you have to deal with configuration file, JSON files in order to make this happen? Today, I will show you how you can do it very easily and simply using my tool. Relay AI is a tool that, as the name implies, allow you to relay any model from any provider into various tools. And my previous videos showed how you can do it with Claude Code and with Codex and Gemini CLI and even anti-gravity, both versions, the CLI versions and the app versions. Today I'm going to show you the server portion, the API server, how you can take all these providers and expose them to any tool that require an API backend. And you can take your subscription, for example, your XAI or even OpenAI subscription and convert it into an API exposed service. So you can take your subscription and make them available in tools that usually require you to pay by the token. And it's very simple. So let me show you how to do that without talking too much. So this is Relay AI. As I showed you earlier, the way to install it is very easy. You just run this command. But I want to show you something that I haven't shown in the previous version. One of the capabilities I added into Relay AI was the ability to check the version and also to see if there is an update available on NPM. And that's what you see here. And the same thing applies if I run the Relay AI UI, which launches the GUI. You'll see the same thing applies. You'll see a notification saying that there is a new version and you can copy it and run it. So let's do that. Let's upgrade my server. Let's cancel this and run the npm command to install. And all you need to do is to have node.js on your system, and this should work on Windows, Linux, and Mac. So I'm going to install it and make sure it updates the latest version. And let's confirm it did. Excellent. So I'm on the latest release. To run a server is very straightforward. I'll show you a couple of ways to do that and a couple of tools that you can configure with an API server to give you a sense. I will show you how you can do it with an Anthropic-compatible API, and I will use Claude Code Desktop to show you how you can do that if you want to set up Claude Code with that API server. I will show you an example of a tool that I created that allows to connect to any OpenAI compatible backend and also discover the models. And lastly, I'll show you a cool tool, if you're not familiar, that also supports OpenAI API backend and will allow you to discover a specific model. And there you have to define a model ID. And I'll show you how you do that. So after this demo, you'll have a sense how to do that with whatever tools you have. That could be a VS Code plugin that supports backends. So let's jump in. So the command to do that, so there's several ways, as I mentioned, to run the API server. One of them is the Relay AI server. And let me just do some help. So you can see there's a lot of options here you can run. And I'll just quickly take you through the setup of the server. So it's very straightforward. So if we're doing it with the CLI, you'll see on the bottom we have here configure and start, or start with saved settings. I'll take you through the process of configuring and starting it so you get a sense of the questions. It will ask you a couple of questions, the wizard, and ask you, do you want to expose the favorite models? If you have built your favorite in Relay AI, which I'll show you in a second, it can just expose all these models. You have up to 20 to expose, and you select that. But I will select no. And it can ask you, do you want to list exposed models in free? So we have the ability to show only free models. That's for users who are willing to take the risk and want to use free models for their favorite AI tools. And I will say yes. And I will ask me, do you want to ask a provider? And I will say expose all providers. And I'll do done. And then it's going to ask me, do you want to mask the IDs? And this is only needed if you're going to do this with Claude Code Desktop, which for some reason they block any competitors' models. So I had to mask the IDs so Claude Code can support them. It's essentially what Relay AI doing when you launch Claude Code Desktop through the command itself. And I will say no for this demo, and then ask you two options. Do you want to run it locally so only I can access it, nobody in my network? or you can run it on the network level. So it will expose it to your local LAN, for example, if you're on your home network, and everybody on that network can connect to it. But of course, if I'll select that, you have to select a password to secure, so nobody random person connects to it by mistake and consumes all your models. So I'll just do this password test, and you can save this password. I'll say no. And now what you can see here, this is the launch of the server. I selected everything, so there's a lot of models, but it gives you the information. So if you want to connect local and Anthropic backend, you select this one. And if you're doing something that is OpenAI compatible, you can copy this address, and it shows you the local. And because I selected the public to expose it to the LAN, it'll show me all my NICs, all my network cards, and their IP addresses if I want to connect to a specific one. And over here, you'll see all the models, the free models that are available from all the providers that can be used for this environment. And you can use them, and all you need to do is copy the name if, for example, you're using where you have to define and provide a specific model ID. So we listed everything, but this is kind of, I don't like it. So that's why I decided to take this and expose it via the UI. So let me cancel it, and I'll close this. And now I'll launch the UI as I showed you earlier. So this is the Relay AI user interface. Everything you can do in the CLI is exposed for you here. So you can see all the providers that are available. You can add multiple providers. And recently, for example, I added Qwen. So you have the Qwen Cloud token plan or the Qwen Cloud pay-as-you-go. And you can just simply provide the API from this particular service, and then they will be available for you to use. You have your favorites that you can create and customize and modify, and this will expose all the models that will be available for whichever tool that you want to run. And we're going to have the ability to launch tools. I already covered that in my videos, so make sure to check them out. But today we're going to focus on the server gateway. And the server gateway, what it allows you to expose any of your model as an API backend, just like I showed you in the command line. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to mask all my IDs, and I'm going to expose all these models, and I'm going to mask them because my first setup will be with Claude Code Desktop. So you'll see the entire process end to end, how to do that with Claude Code. And we're going to save, and we're going to do a password. Let's call it password, right? So you can reveal, make sure you tapped it right. Let's start the server. So now it will launch the server and the same setup that I've seen before. So let's start configuring, and that'll give you kind of better understanding of how to use this with your own tools. And you can even use this with an agent. For example, you have Hermes or OpenClaw, and you want to connect your OpenClaw to retrieve a model. You can basically direct them to this URL and configure any model that is available here as the model backend for your agent. So as mentioned, I'm going to use Claude Code first. So this is Claude Code, completely fresh installation. I'm not logged in. I'm not using it anyway right now. So in the way to do that with Claude Code is kind of unique. I didn't know that until I started working on this project, and I discovered there is a third-party mode in Claude Code which allow you to connect to backends. And that's what we're going to do. So you go to Help, Troubleshoot, and you select Enable Developer Mode. And it's going to enable it, and it's going to reboot Claude. And now it still looks the same, but there are some nuances. Now you'll see I have on the top the developer option. I will go into Developer, configure third-party inference. Now we're going to start copying the information that we need. So I'm going to go back into my AI, and I'm going to copy the Anthropic URL. Since I'm local, I'm just going to do it local, but if I was on a network, I would choose the network. But I'll just copy the Anthropic, copy it, and go back into the setup and paste it here. And then it's going to ask me, what is it? I'll say this is a static API key, and it's going to be my password, which is the same thing that I typed in the system, right? And I'll scroll a little bit down, and then I'll test model discover. And you can see it discovered 151 models available. I'll say, okay, good. Save and restart. Now Claude will take this setting and relaunch, and everything I'm doing, I'm not using any subscription. It's launched over here. Let me just move it to this window. So now we can see it offers a lot of models for me. So these are all the models that I selected. One of them could be the big pickle. So let's just see that it works, right? Like, I don't know if it's working. So let's do test. I'm right now on Claude Code and it is thinking and I got a response. And I could use everything in Claude Code with this, and that will work also with Claude Cowork and with Claude Code Desktop. So it's still doing stuff in the backend. That's fine. I think I showed you what you can do with this. And now I will show you a different tool, a tool that I created, and this is called the AI Counsel. The AI Counsel is a tool that allows you to connect to multiple AI backends or OAuth. Actually, I made an update last weekend. I'll do a separate video on that, where you can even connect to your subscription from XAI or GitHub or OpenAI and expose them as a model. So if I'll go into this server and I will go into the settings, you can see over here in the API keys, if I'll scroll all the way down, I can define a custom URL. So let's just show how we can do it. I'm just going to call it Relay AI. And now I'm going to go back into the Relay AI user interface and I'm going to copy OpenAI back. And I'm just going to use this URL and go back into the console and paste it over here. And the key is, you remember, that was password and connect. And here I'm getting 143 because not all models are fully compatible, but overall 151 are discovered. So that was easy, right? And let me go into the console config, and over here it is enabled. So now I can start using this as a backend for my counsel, either my deliberation counsel or my advisory counsel. And again, if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend to check out the videos I created. Check out my channel on the AI Counsel. But just to show you what you can do here very quickly, I'm not going to do big pickle. I think we showed it. Let's see if we can use something from M3. And over here, I have Minimax M3 that is available for me to use, and it's supposed to be free. So I'm going to use a chat only mode. Okay, I'm not going to go through the deliberation just to see if it works. So I can ask it, what's the capital of France? And now Minimax M3 from my providers. And if you remember, I selected show only free models. So everything I'm using right now is completely free. And as you know, if you're using free models, either from NVIDIA, OpenRoute, or anyone else, you're going to be subject for rate limits. They might be slow and they might fail because a lot of people using free because everybody want to use free models. So this might fail as well. I haven't tested this particular model over here, but we'll give it a chance, and it could be slow, and it was right and it answered. So just again, this is slow and available. So I showed you an example of a model that a tool that connects to an API and can list all the models, because my server allows any tools that connect and support model listing to list all the models. So again, let me just show you quickly. If I go back and do here, you'll see all the models that I added are now available and I can use them. Another thing you need to know about this tool is that it can run as a container. The server itself can run as a container. And I have it running locally at my home on my central container server. So you can see this is my server, and you can notice a couple of differences. One, there is no launch option. So you cannot launch app from the container. This is solely a server mode that you can run, and my server is running continuously. And you can see all my models that are made available here that I could technically use. Now I'm going to show you a different tool that can connect to an API. And this is going to be a tool called SuperCMD. And if you're not familiar, it's a really cool tool. It's based on Raycast. If you're familiar with Raycast, it's a tool that has a lot of capabilities. One of its capabilities, as you can see here, it has the ability to offer AI, which you can ask questions and chat with it. And obviously there's tons of stuff it can do, and has a clipboard and snippets and There's endless capabilities, but what I want to show you is the AI mode. So now in the AI mode, if you go into that tool, you'll see that I'm in the AI configuration. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the LLM section, and I'm going to select the OpenAI compatible backend, and it's already configured, and I'm going to select the key that is defined. Let me just type it. And you can see I have a model router available. This is from the Open Router free router. So it's a single model that routes between free models in the backend. So you don't know what you get. You might get something good. You might get something terrible. But it's free. So we can't complain, right? You get what you pay for. I just copied that name from here and pasted it here. It saved it, and let's test it. So I'm going to launch it, and I'm going to ask it, give me a fun fact about any animal. Let's see. And the way to do it is just click tab, and there we go. So now I have access to a free API to feed my SuperCMD, and whatever tools you're using, it's available. And I could use that to expose my subscription. So if I'll go again into my provider, I just want to show you that, for example, here's my GitHub. GitHub free, I'm on the free model, so you're getting really old models, free GPT-4.1 and 4.0. But for example, if I'll go into my XAI Grok, I can use Grok 4.5. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what this API server is all about. You can connect to it, and hopefully you saw how simple it is. Go check it out, install it, run it as a container. And if you want to run it as a container and you don't know how to do it, and all you need to do is take this URL, ask your AI agent or even Claude Code or any CLI tool and say, I want to deploy this as a container on my environment. And if you don't have Docker or anything else, it will do that for you end to end. If I'll go over here, you'll see there is the Docker documentation that is also targeted for AIs to read it and ask you questions before they launch it on how you want this configured. So hope you found this useful. I would like to thank you again for staying all the way up to this point to watch this video. I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the bell to see more videos like this. Have a good one.
AI spotlight illuminating the future of AI.